Hey, Facebook, it's been like an hour since I saw you. Wondered what you've done in that last hour. I also got to talk to Dr. Marissa Hanna over on Instagram. So if you want to check out another interview that I did with a new doc, then head on over to Instagram after this one. So I'm excited to have Dr. Susan with me today. Dr. Susan has been in the boot camp for quite a long time. Um, it was really interesting. She came to the Business Plus boot camp with her husband and daughter this past February. And while she was there, bumped into a longtime past friend who Susan was the catalyst for this woman becoming a chiropractor, which then led this woman to be the president of the Cal Chiro Association. So let's hear it for we never know how far reaching something we may think, say, or do today will impact the lives of millions tomorrow. So, Dr. Susan, thank you for being a trailblazer and for being
Absolutely.
part of my life and our boot camp.
Love it.
So we said we're going to talk about 3 tips that you really focused on to go from like, oh my gosh, it's a new school year and we have these monster goals to crush and we're going to homeschool our daughter and our other daughter is going to be away at college and that represents a whole thing in and of itself. And there are 3 tips that you identified. The first one is be where your feet are. Talk to us about that. What does that mean? And how did that show up and keep showing up to have such a profound impact?
That is probably the most important thing. If you can master that, you're going to be golden. It's so important that no matter where you are, there you are. When I'm sitting at home with my daughter and we're working on schoolwork, I am very focused and she's getting all of my attention. My mind is not, oh gosh, that patient isn't getting the results that I thought she should be getting at this point, or, oh, geez, that person canceled their appointment. I wonder what's going on. And I'm not thinking anything about the office. I am there 100% with my daughter. Conversely, when I'm at the office, I am 100% with my patients. I am focused solely on them. I am not worrying about grading papers or making sure I have the next lesson ready to go for my daughter. I am 100% focused with that patient. And they feel that. She knows, my daughter knows when I'm 100% with her, and my patients know when I'm 100% with them. If there's a distraction, they're going to feel that too.
And so, Susan, I'm guessing it wasn't always like this,
No, no,
right?
absolutely not.
And so, how did it happen? Like, uh, I'm guessing most people have either heard about or know how important it is to, especially in our realm of chiropractic, like present time consciousness, right?
Yes.
So it's one thing to talk about it, it's quite another thing to practice it. So, how did you go from not being like that to now being in a grounded state and where your feet are?
I wish I could say it was like flipping a switch, but it
Yeah.
was it was a lot of practice. I had to keep reminding myself, be with this patient. My patients are all in rooms. We gown, we scope every single time they come in. So I would stop just outside their room and I would give myself a moment and just make sure that I was fully with that person before I walked in the door. And it took a lot of practice and it took a lot of time. But after a while, that became my habit. Then that became my identity. And that made all the difference in the world.
Yes. Serve from a grounded state. And
Yes.
um what have you noticed about your own energy levels because of this discipline?
Um, they're they're very level. So yes, I have moments that are, I have a lot of energy. Today was just a very energetic day that patients could feel that. But I don't have these massive highs and these massive lows. I stay
Mm,
much more balanced, much more grounded throughout my day, which is wonderful because it's exhausting to go from a very high to a very low and go back and forth like that. It's just exhausting. So it's
yeah.
wonderful like this. I maintain my energy throughout the day.
Yeah. And for those of you who are watching now or watch this later who aren't in the boot camp, one of the things that we talk about are no white spaces. And no white spaces mean gaps on our schedule.
Mhm.
And I've talked one-on-one to almost 900 chiropractors. Um since April of 2017 between phone and Zoom. Because if you're not aware, in order to come into the boot camp tribe, you have to talk to me. I want to know you, and I want you to know us and know me. And then we decide after that point if we're going to move forward together. Um, and it's really interesting how many people I hear say, I just want to have a full schedule. I hate the gaps in between practice members, right? And the reason that we do is because then our thinking kicks in, right? And we start
Yes.
wondering, like, where are all the people? How am I going to pay my bills? Did I say something wrong to that person? Did I do something wrong there? Like, what if? And we
Yes.
really don't like that space in between our practice members because that gets fired up. So the
Correct.
really interesting thing, if you're watching this and you feel that same way about having a busy schedule, I would encourage you, like, experiment. Reduce your hours so you can't have any gaps and see what that brings about, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you, just like I've shared with lots of other people, is that now you're going to feel good because your schedule is full, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna have all kinds of time on your hands. Well, then now what you do? What do you do? So in the boot camp, we have, like, all right, if you have 15 minutes in between practice members, here's some great ways to fill those spaces. If you have 30 minutes, here are great ways to fill those spaces. And so you do technically then have a full schedule all day long.
Mhm.
Because at the
Absolutely.
beginning of the day, we schedule, how am I going to use these white spaces? Which brings me to number 2. And you said it was schedule even the mundane so that nothing falls through the cracks. Tell us more.
Yes, my staff does an amazing job at cluster booking my patients for a reason. The energy that was in that office this morning was insane. My staff is looking at me and they're like, wow, this is great. And there's all these patients all coming in at one time and they're going into rooms. They're like, wow, you're really busy today. I'm like, I'm busy every day, man. I'm taking care of a lot of people here. But
Yeah.
that's because my staff cluster booked everybody. Then I have these gaps here and there, but they always have a purpose. There's always a purpose for every single gap. And every single time I have a little white space in there, that is specifically targeted to what am I doing to bring in new patients right this very moment? What am I doing to bring in more income right this very moment? What am I doing to help my staff do their jobs more efficiently at this very moment? So there's always something I am doing to basically put that CEO hat on and make sure I'm growing the business during all those white spaces.
So let's say someone's like, well, I don't want to be that routinized. Like, I love spontaneity. So I can't imagine scheduling myself like that. What do you have to say about that?
I was that way too. I did not schedule things and then stuff didn't get done. So you can still be spontaneous and you can still, do fun things and have a great time in your practice. And I don't think scheduling stuff is not having a great time. But when I have stuff scheduled, then stuff gets done. I get so much more done. I'm so much more productive in the practice when I have it scheduled.
Well, it's Parkinson's law, right? We'll
Hmm.
use up whatever resource is available. And, I think a great demonstration of that is old school of a toothpaste, right? Like when you first open it and you've got a full tube,
Yes.
like, right? Now, when you've like squeezed it and you're like, you've got it rolled up all the way to the tip, now you just like, you
Yes.
only use the smallest amount, right? So that's Parkinson's law, that whatever time or whatever resource we've made available to ourselves, we'll use it.
Yep.
And so I'm here to say that those who are like, no, I'm too spontaneous. I'm guessing you want spontaneity in your life, not necessarily with your to-do list. So when we get the things done, way back in the day, major outcome activities. So I'll give Jeff Smith the credit for that since he came up with that. Your major outcome activities are those things that we do in order to bring in business. So,
Hmm.
like, for instance, once someone's already there, we've already done the thing for them to come in.
Yep.
Now, the only way that that time when we're adjusting them turns into MOA time is if now I'm asking for referrals, or if now I'm looking to invite them to, something that we're doing in the office. If I'm looking to extend the relationship, then all of those adjusting hours can be considered MOA time. But if all I'm doing is, like talking about the weather, and it's not
Right.
necessarily enriching the relationship or
Mhm.
leading to another sale, it's not MOA time, it's neutral time. And that's where too, that when we're prepared and we've
Yep.
practiced and we know how to turn strangers into friends, friends and appointments into profits, and how to take a conversation to a connection to relationship, and a relationship to commitment, because we've done the work. Now we can be spontaneous in the conversation and look for opportunities to deepen a relationship or start a new one. So for those
Exactly.
of you who are like, I don't want to schedule everything, my guess is it's only because you haven't done it. So you don't know actually how much freedom it gives you. And like, like Susan was just saying, like that feeling that, oh my gosh, I forgot something again. That doesn't feel very spontaneous at all. Actually, that feels
No.
awful. And so I'm a big fan of, and then two, because Susan schedules things, she can go back a month later and be like, hey, as a result of scheduling all of this, and here's my daily success sheet, all of that added up, and these are the results that I got in my practice.
Yes, exactly.
So that which we measure grows. So if we're just flying by the seat of our pants all the time, we don't really know what led to the increase or what led to the decrease.
That's right.
Um, so then number 3 you said was, I shifted from improving my job and am now focused on being the CEO of my business. Tell us more.
So, obviously, the job, chiropractic, you're a technician. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I love what I do, and I'm changing lives every single day, and that's wonderful. But I needed to change my focus to growing the practice. And so I needed to just kind of change hats and make sure that every single time I had my hands on patients or I had that white space, that it was involving something to grow the practice. So, yes, just like you said today, I sat down in the morning, I had my daily success sheet, and I was looking through the patients that were coming in that day. What am I going to talk to them about? Am I going to talk to them and ask them about a referral? Am I going to talk to them about, last time they were talking about their kid had fallen? Do I talk to them about now bringing their kid in for a checkup? When I have the white spaces, do I pick up the phone? Why am I not picking up the phone and calling patients I haven't seen in a while? Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Is everything okay? What's been going on in your life? Talk to me. And then just shut up and listen to what they have to say. But that's the shift that I had to make. And it's just made all the difference in the world over the past few months.
Yes. It's amazing how different the questions we ask ourselves.
Hmm.
Right? When we're sitting in that CEO position versus just improving our job.
Absolutely.
Like I want to give credit there to Mike Michalowicz and Jeff Soha for that concept of, are you improving your job, or are you really stepping into more of a design phase in your business instead of just like moving more pieces? Like, what does this creation look like? And being the visionary of our purpose, being the visionary of our practice. So as we wrap this up, I've talked several times today about the boot camp. Let's talk about private coaching. What
Sure.
what what made you seek private coaching, and what has been like the best outcome for you about private coaching?
So I love all the aspects of the boot camp. There are so many different levels of participation, for lack of a better way to put it. And I've been doing the boot camp for, I want to say, 3 years. I think I'm closing in on my fourth,
Yeah.
but roughly 3 years. And really took advantage of all the different videos and phone calls and all of the daily success sheets and the referral logs and all that great stuff. But I felt like I was growing, just little, increments, and it wasn't enough. I knew that I had the ability to grow more and faster and make a bigger impact. And that's why I sought out coaching, because I just needed that shift in my mindset. And I needed someone to help draw that out. And I knew you were the person to do that. And that's exactly what has happened since I started coaching with you. I think May, I want to say April
Yeah.
or May. And
Yeah.
it's been a great ride so far.
That's awesome. What are you most proud of about yourself in over these last few months that we've been doing private coaching?
I, I, my confidence. And I think if you would have spoken to anyone who knows me, they would have already said that I have confidence, but I didn't have the confidence in myself. You know, other people had confidence in me, and that I could get things done, but I was like, oh, geez, could I really have a practice that's growing and be the CEO and homeschool my daughter at the same time? That's a big ask. And she's in ninth grade. So it's not like we're talking about, preschool or kindergarten. So, to do those two things together and then still maintain a really good family life where,
Mhm.
my daughter is still wanting to hang out with me at this point, as opposed to seeing me as the taskmaster. And then my staff is still happy, and everything is just going so well. I didn't know that I was capable of doing that, but it is going so well, and I cannot wait to see how the rest of this year goes.
Huge.
Yeah,
I mean, huge. And it also seems that you more powerfully stepping into your CEO role has opened the doors for others in your in your on your team to more fully step into what their role in the brand is.
absolutely. That's a really great point. I've been watching my team almost kind of just grow into their role without even me saying anything to them. They've just automatically almost taken that role to heart and really worked on defining it themselves, even more so than we had done when they first started. So it's been really cool to watch that.
Yeah. And if you hadn't vacated, think about like baseball. If
Hmm.
someone's on second base and there's somebody on first base, the person on first can't advance until that person goes either to third base, gets thrown out, or goes home. Like they have to
Exactly.
vacate where they are for somebody to step in. And so often, my experience has been as chiropractors, we don't know. Most of us just graduated and kind of fell into either being a business owner or an independent contractor, and we used the level of skill set that we had in terms of being able to help people, and by God's grace, chiropractic works so well in spite of us not knowing what we're doing. And then we start hiring people and we call ourselves leader, even though all we really are is an employer. And so then we just kind of keep improving that versus
Right.
looking at operations of our business and recognize this isn't just a hobby that makes money. This is a business. And as a result, this business needs to have these elements, and these elements then have these responsibilities and these people who carry out the functions and the tasks. And so I just want to publicly applaud you as well for just leaning in and doing and embracing the uncomfortable, embrace the suck until you get good at it. Because we do. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yes,
we didn't even know how to wipe our own butt when we were a baby,
it's
right?
true.
Child, and then we learned. So this idea that, oh, as soon as I graduate, I'm now imparted with all of these talents and gifts and understanding of being a business owner. I'm just here to tell all of you, if you haven't figured it out yet, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There, like, your diploma didn't come with this download that you put on your head.
I wish.
Right? Like, yeah. Um, so as we wrap this up, speak to the person who is either in the boot camp or isn't in the boot camp, and they're doing the right things, and yet they just have this sense of, I was made for more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We were all made for more. We're always striving every single day to try and reach that level of perfection, to try and reach that level of, why did God put us here? And sometimes we need a little help with that. And that's okay. Sometimes I think we shouldn't have to ask for help. We should just know it all. We should have it down pat. That's just not how life works. And the sooner we can realize that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to bring others in, the faster the road to success becomes. And so
Yeah.
just take the leap already and do it.
Yes. I love Matthew Loop says, "Coaching really buys you time."
Yes, that's
Right?
a great way to put it.
Yeah, instead of feeling like I have to make all the mistakes myself and learn for them, no, 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 no. Let me get in community and find out, "Oh, she did that and it goes so well. Maybe I can make this adjustment,
Yes.
to my steps, my path, my how I'm doing things to get better results."
I think
Um,
it was Grant Cardone said that it is the ignorant man who learns from his own mistakes, but the smart man who learns from the mistakes of others. And that's what coaching is all about. You get to learn from other people's mistakes and stand on their shoulders, and it just goes that much faster.
yes. And I also think, like, there's so much to see in having somebody else's perspective,
Yes.
right? Like, it's difficult to see our own blind spots.
Oh, definitely.
And for anyone who doubts that, ask your spouse if there's anything you need to work on.
And tell them it's okay to be honest.
But gentle.
Gentle. Yes.
Gentle and loving and maybe, like, 1 a month or something.
Exactly. A little bit at a time.
Yeah. This is where we wanna take little tiny chunks, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so I know for me that I can get in, especially when we look at only 5% of what we do on a daily basis is from conscious thought.
Yes.
95% is subconscious programming. So then it makes complete sense that we can't even see what we're doing. I was just in
Mhm.
several boot campers' offices. And so one of the thing I had them do was like, all right, take me through a report of findings, take me through a first visit, new practice member tour, and just like the small tweaks and upgrades from those visits, those systems that are always going to
Yeah.
be necessary. It's like, "Oh, I didn't even realize I was saying it that way," or, "I didn't even realize I had been forgetting this part," or, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a really great way to help practice members understand better." So,
Mhm.
it really is, such a beautiful gift to give ourselves, through time and through our finances too, of buying time and getting help to see our own blind spots so that we don't have to go through and just keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
Exactly.
Um, Anything else you want to say before we sign off tonight?
If you are on the fence for boot camp or coaching, just dive in. Just do it
Yeah.
already. Stop thinking about it and just do it.
Yes.
You won't
You'll
regret
come up
it.
with as many excuses as you're looking for.
Exactly.
But the thing to do is to take action. Susan, thank you
Yes.
so much. It's been really fun being with you tonight. To all of you who joined us, have a wonderful evening. If there's something that we shared that you have a question about, or you'd like to dive in even further, please right here, grab a time on my calendar with me. It'll be the two of us getting on Zoom together to get to know each other, and I'll see if I can help you. And if I can, I'll tell you exactly what that looks like, my best recommendations and instructions for moving forward. And if not, I promise I'll find somebody who can. So, Susan, thank you so much to all of you.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful evening, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.